of Commerce, and I'm incredibly excited about hosting our candidate forum. This is one of the events that I really love because it's an opportunity for our community to come together. Even though we may all have different views and different opinions and different ideas, we can come together as a community to express them, to talk about it, to share, and really all of us have one goal. That's to have a better community. We might have some different ideas about how that works. That's okay. That's what makes a community beautiful. So let's remember that. Let's remember, and tonight, let's do the best we can to encourage one another. Even if you don't necessarily agree with the other person, we can still walk out of here friends and encouraging one another. Does that sound cool? Yeah. All right. Well, here's the way it's going to go this evening. Everyone will get a 3-minute opening statement. And then when we go to the Q&A portion, each candidate will get one 3-minute question, followed by a 1-minute rebuttal from each candidate. Then we will just pass the mic down one, and that next candidate will get a 3-minute question, followed by 1-minute rebuttal from each candidate. The questions were all compiled from our website. We had a session on our website that you could submit questions. We had a ton of questions that were brought in. The questions were, we sent it out via Nextdoor app, social media, and other platforms to be able to get the questions acquired. If the questions were submitted and they were very similar, we might combine a couple of questions. So if you submitted a question and you didn't hear your question, it might have been because it was similar to another question. We just combined them together. And like I said, we're going to do our best to try to get everybody in place. So if I can invite the school board candidates or trustee candidates to please come on up to the front. So I'll let you begin with your 3 minutes, introduction of yourself, and you can give your 3-minute opening speech.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hello, my name is Shomega Daniels-Austin, and I'm running for the seat on the Cedar ISD School Board District Board of Trustees. I'm all for public education. I am a product of public education. I have 2 children. One is a 7th grader at Bessie Coleman Middle School, and my daughter, who is a sophomore in college, who completed K-12 in Cedar ISD. I am married, and I've been a resident of Cedar Hill for over 15 years. During my 15 years here as a resident, I've been an advocate for our children in the community of Cedar Hill ISD. My knowledge and my experience will help me provide the leadership and build a vision we can carry out for this district. I've held several leadership positions within the school district. Within those, within serving with those boards, I've held leadership positions within those boards, such as PTA, the Campus Advisory Committee. I've been a part of that for the elementary level and also the high school level. I believe that a school board member should be responsive and receptive to parents, staff, students, and taxpayers, encouraging an open dialogue. I want to help bridge the gap between the school district and the parents who are the taxpayers in this great city. I'm asking for you all's vote for place 1 for Shomega Daniels-Austin. I want to help build together collaborate with the kids, the parents, and also the taxpayers for our district. We need help in our district. I want to be a part of that, to have a seat at the table, to be able to make those decisions for our kids. But before I can make those decisions for our kids, I want to be able to go out in the community to get our parents engaged with our kids' education. So that is my goal. That is my reason for running, is to be able to bridge that gap that we have with the school district and our parents, and also we need to include the taxpayers, because that's their money that we're spending for our children's education. So we need to make sure that we include them. So I ask you all for your votes, and I want to make sure that we do the right thing for all children in Cedar Hill ISD. Thank you for your time, and I will pass the mic on.
Very good, thank you. We'll reset the time real quick. And ready?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. I am Keisha Lankford. I am an 18-year resident of Cedar Hill. I have children that have attended school here. I have been in school most of my life. I've obtained a bachelor's degree in sociology, a master's degree in sociology and counseling, and a doctorate degree in Christian education. I also, as if that wasn't enough, went back and obtained a vocational certification as well as a principal certification and a dynamic marriage certification and a family violence prevention certification. LCDC certified as well. My focus is our students. There's only one star for this district, and that's them. Education is important to me. Nelson Mandela once said, the most powerful tool there is to change the world is education. And so I would be remiss if I did not use those skills, those tools, to bring it back home to Cedar Hill to help our children. 20 years ago, when I graduated college, I started a nonprofit so that I could help at-risk youth. I realized there are some challenges in our schools that we just may not be prepared for. And I've had a faith-based organization to help supplement some of the needs that the schools were not able to meet. Well, I would like to bring those resources to the board and be a team player assisting our board in providing not just a fair education, but an exceptional education. Our children deserve an exceptional education. And so when I thought about not running, people were coming and saying, hey, we need your resources. We need your assistance. And as an educator of over 20 years, I was a teacher at Townview Law Magnet, which was a blue ribbon school. I taught there 19 years. And I helped them accomplish the blue ribbon status. Then I taught at Mountain View College as a sociology professor for 12 years. And while I was there, I was able to find out what the needs are that were coming from the high school. I would see a lot of students come to the college, but they weren't ready. And so I just want to bring those things to our children. I want to make sure that they have the best opportunities possible. It's been a minute. I raised my daughters. Now they're graduates of college. And now I want to advocate for other children. One of them is graduating with her master's on next month. And my aunt is here. She told me, Keisha, just keep going. And that's all I want to tell these young children. Keep going. There's some resources, there's some opportunities, and that conversation made the difference. Thank you.
Amen.
Good evening, Cedar Hill and guests. My name is Carma Morgan. I stand before you honored to have the opportunity to serve you as I continue to serve and represent our community. I'm a math teacher and an educator for over 20 years, and you've heard this saying, do the math. Well, I want to do the math. I have 5 girls. One of them have graduated from high school in Cedar Hill. Let's do the math. I have 4 girls that are still in Cedar Hill ISD, and they are excellent students in various schools in Cedar Hill. Let's do the math. I am fighting and an advocate for our children as I help, and I was a teacher for the summer school last year at Bessie Coleman. Let's do the math. I have 20 years of teaching, 20 years of being in various seats in education. I have a master's degree in educational leadership. I have my superintendent's coursework to be a superintendent. I have served with various superintendents and other school districts, so I do know the things that go on behind the scenes. Let's do the math. I am a veteran of the United States Air Force. I do know how to stand in the gap for my community. I do know how to serve my country, and I served it well. Let's do the math. I'm committed to continuing to do the work, to help our kids have the best education possible. How do you do that, Carma? You have innovative opportunities. You have hands-on skills, not just for the kids who are instructionally or academically smart, but for those kids who are tactile, kinesthetic, audio, for those kids who are automotively able to do various works, for students who are cosmetology gifted, for students who are artistic. I am a representative of all the kids. Because why? Let's do the math. It's in my house. My children each represent that particular child that Cedar Hill has. So I want to represent you, those of you who are going to do the voting for our kids, for those of you who intentionally came out tonight to know the best candidate. So I ask you to do the math. I ask you to join arms with me as we partner with our community, with our school districts, and make it a premier school district. So again, do the math. Carma Morgan for Cedar Hill School District, Trustee Place 2.
Good evening. Good evening, Cedar Hill. My name is Gayle Sims, and I am your current Place 1 trustee for the Cedar Hill ISD School Board. First of all, let me just say how much I love Cedar Hill and I love our school district. I have been a part of the Cedar Hill family for 19 years. I came here back in 2000, and I have served in our community. I was on the Cedar Hill Education Foundation Board. I was with the original strategic plan. I was a part of, right now, I serve on the CDC for the city of Cedar Hill. I love my city, and I love our ISD. I bring to the board over 30 years of human resources experience, both in the public and the private sector. You know, when I think about the board, we need educators. I'm not going to deny that, but we want to make sure we have a diversity of perspectives on the board. I bring that business background to the board where I have developed and I've been responsible for budgets, developed and implemented policies, did recruiting and retaining. You should know that over 30 years of HR experience, you do a whole bunch of recruiting and retaining of people. My 2 years have been very vital on the board. As you all know, we had, within my first month of being on the board, our superintendent left. And that was a part of what I was very vital in being a part of during that first year. And then, of course, being with the budget and all. And everything I do, everything I think about when I'm on that board, I am looking for us to achieve educational excellence together. When I say that, what do I mean? I mean, first of all, that we prioritize academics. We want to make sure that our children, our students, have everything they need to be able to succeed. Secondly, supporting our teachers and our staff by making sure that we provide salaries, we provide resources for them that help them to become successful and help our children become successful. Third, getting our parents involved. I believe a key product is our parents, and then our community, letting you know what is going on. I'm Gayle Sims. I'm running for re-election on Place 1, Cedar Hill ISD Board.
All right. So let's go with our round one question. I'm going to start with you.
I guess so.
So you'll get to ask the first. Yes.
Can I stop you just a second?
You may.
We have some water over here.
Oh.
Slipping in, so we're gonna try to mop it up.
Thank you so much. So be mindful. There's water over there. So try to make your way that direction instead. Please don't slip. All right. So we'll do a 3-minute question and then followed by 1 minute for each. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. First question is, what suggestions can you offer regarding the open position of the next superintendent of schools that school board members seriously keep in mind with the selection of a new superintendent? You want me to ask that one more time?
Yes.
Okay. What suggestions can you offer regarding the open position of our next superintendent of schools that the school board members seriously keep in mind with the selection of a new superintendent? Your time begins now.
part of what we are doing, of course, is looking at what do we want in a superintendent. We want to know from you, our community, we want to know from our staff and the board what it is we're looking for in a superintendent. We're developing a rubric to just look at exactly what it is we want for our next superintendent. Look, when you keep having turnover at the top, people start getting wary, and we will lose good candidates. Therefore, we have to make a very determined decision what it is we're looking for. We're looking for someone with experience. We're looking for someone who has an eye. Remember, I told you my number one priority is achieving excellence together. We want someone who is looking to achieve that same academic excellence. What can they provide for our children, for our students, for our teachers, for our staff that will help them to make our district a success, that will lead us to excellence? What we are looking for is someone who can look out in the community, be a part of the community, who can talk to the community, who reaches out to the community to hear what they have to say. We are looking for someone who wants to make an investment in our community. By doing so, they're making an investment into our district. We want someone who is looking to move this district forward, who is not looking to just provide programs, but is looking to actually have and to give actual ideas that are going to move us forward, actual ideas that are going to help our students become a success. And not just the collegiate, not just those who maybe don't speak English. We want them to reach out to each and every one of our students and provide avenues for them to be successful. This board is looking for someone who is going to make an investment in our district.
Great.
Yes. We want a person who can represent our community that reflects the values and the principles that we as a community hold. We want someone who's able to take what we currently have and make it even better. We want an individual or a person who's able to be sensitive to the needs of everyone in the community, to be able to take advantage of various financial streams that they are aware of that will bring additional resources to our community. We want a person who's not looking for a resume builder. We do not need a person who's looking for the next school, but is willing to make this their community, in their school. We want a person who is sensitive enough to say, I'm here, I'm in it for the long haul, and I want to make Cedar Hill the premier school that it is, school district that it is.
Well, I would call it the QCCC. We need someone that's qualified, competent, committed, and connected. We also need someone to understand that our teachers need support. And a lot of the money that we pay in as taxpayers, we want to see it go into the classroom so that the teachers can get the support that they need to better serve our students. I did surveys over the last couple of months to get insight as to where the needs are. And some of the teachers and students have shared with me, we need people that care. We need people that support our program and what we're trying to do. And so we need a committed, qualified, connected superintendent that's willing to do that for our students. Thank you.
What we need for our next superintendent. First, we need to start what we need as our trustees, because it's their job to hire the superintendent. So we gotta step back to say what we need for them to do to make sure we have that qualified superintendent, to make sure that we have that superintendent with the experience, to make sure they do the research, to make sure that the candidates that they are bringing in, that we are interviewing, are the right person for Cedar Hill ISD. That's what we need to make sure, is that we're doing our part to make sure we get the right superintendent the next time. Already? Okay.
It goes fast.
I got 3 minutes. It's my time to question. Oh, come on.
Next question, then we'll pass it on. Okay. Go back to 3 minutes. Okay, here's the next question. This question came from a parent. Their child attends a charter school here in the area instead of attending a school here in the district. The reason is based on STAR tests, results, college readiness. They said that the only school in CHISD is the collegiate schools that are meeting or exceeding expectations on all components. What will you do to work with the CHISD to improve the quality of education of Cedar Hill for all schools, since we all pay taxes?
Great question. The first thing in which I am aware of, because I have been actively participating as a community member at the boards, they have implemented a new instructional plan that will give the teachers a better opportunity to effectively instruct the students. One of the things as an educator and a teacher, when you're in the trenches, you need someone to come and help. And I do know it's nothing like having an effective instructional curriculum to help that. And so that's one of the ways you do is you make sure your instructional resources are viable, that the resources that are needed, that you have qualified teachers with experience in the classroom where it won't take so much time for them to figure out the instruction, but they know how to deliver the instruction. So again, it starts with the curriculum. And in doing so, also providing the necessary resources for the teachers to be able to present a well-rounded curriculum. One of the things I shared with you all earlier was being able to address all types of students and having vocational opportunities for all kids. There are some kids that need to be able to have automotive skills, or as I shared earlier, cosmetology or culinary, where they're hands-on type of students. So we need to make sure we have those types of programs in our schools that our kids will have what? Options. There's nothing like being able to provide options, and I do know that is the reason why some of our families choose to go to a charter school, because of the options. And so we need to make sure that our schools, we're not creating new programs, but we're making the programs that we have better and more effective and more efficient, that it services all our children, and that we're not state test based, that is not geared to how the state says a STAR test or how a kid did on a particular test, but how a kid is being prepared to be a productive citizen. That is the conversation that I've had as I went and knocked on doors and talked to community members, that they also desire to see that our students are able to leave high school and get a job, be able to get a career without having to go to 2 more years or 4 more years of education, that the school has provided them an opportunity to be productive citizens by way of getting a trade that will help them take care of their families. So again, curriculum, making sure we have financial and classroom resources, and then also having effective, highly qualified teachers to deliver that instruction.
I certainly feel that parent's pain. I actually talked to a parent, well, and actually an administrator, that works here, but drives their child to South Dallas to a private school and pay tuition instead of bringing their kid here. There is something wrong when we have to do that. and I need to know exactly what we want today for our children. Exceptional education is on the table. And that's where we do not need to compromise. And in order for us to do that, we definitely need to make sure we're talking to the teachers and the parents and the students and asking what it is we can do to help their child be successful. What is it that we can do to keep your kid in this school district? Now, my experience has been, and I did a lot of research on Finland and then him having the #1 school, and I tell my clients this because when I deal with criminals, right? I teach them how to be better people. I'll tell you the next time. I'll tell you.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure.
What about charter school or?
All right. Yes. There we go. It's on. I turned my microphone off so I didn't lose my battery. The question was, it says, my child attends a charter school in Cedar Hill instead of attending CHISD. The reason being the STAR tests, the college readiness, and it seems that only the collegiate school is meeting or exceeding all of these components. What would you do to work with CHISD to improve the quality of education for all of CHISD, since we are all taxpayers?
All right, thank you. One thing I would do is look at data to see what areas we need help in. Is it reading? Is it math? Does this campus need more reading coaches? Do this campus need extra math teacher? We got to look at the data to see where we're lacking. While we're losing so many students to charter schools, I've heard that for so many years that I know of people that says that I took my child out of Cedar Hill ISD for those reasons. So we just really got to look at it to see what can we do to help this school, to help that school. We can't just have a tunnel vision just looking at collegiate for us to say, hey, collegiate's doing this. This is our overall performance. We have to look at each school. Time.
Yep.
She only talked for 1 minute.
Yes, that's the way it goes. Each person gets a 3-minute intro. I'm sorry, I'll repeat it. Let me turn my mic off. Let me repeat it real quick. Okay, let me clarify again. Each individual candidate gets a 3-minute speech, and then there's a 1-minute rebuttal follow. And so what happens is the first one, Gayle got a 3-minute, and then there was 1 minute after, and then the next candidate, she got a 3-minute, then there's 1 minute after. And so we're going down the line. So each person gets the first question for 3 minutes, followed by a 1-minute rebuttal. Sorry.
Did you kind of indicate that's a rebuttal?
Oh, okay.
It's kind of confusing. It is.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Sure thing. All right, Gayle. I'll give you some time back. All right.
Okay. One of the things that we are doing as a district in order to bring back our students is that we are building the curriculum. Our staff is actually writing the curriculum to align with the TEKS to help and support our teachers in order to help and support our students to bring those grades up. We know that our accountability ratings, money that comes, everything that the state does is data-driven. Therefore, in order for us to make sure that we're doing the right thing, we are making sure that we are meeting the needs that the state is saying you need to do in order to bring your students up. And writing this curriculum is just one way in which we are helping our students.
Very good.
3 minutes. Just a 3 minutes.
Okay. Now, she gets her 3-minute question, and we each are going to get that way. We do it that way so that everybody gets to be able to answer the same question. All right. Next question is, being elected is more than a title. What is your commitment to the community, i.e. what involvement have you had prior to running for this office?
Perfect question. So just to finish up my last statement, communication is so important. We have a stability issue in our city with our district, a lot of turnover, and that is, to any educator out there, that is just so hard on the children, and it's hard on the employees. And so we have to work on that in terms of retaining our children and keeping our scores up. So turnover is what we need to really deal with in morale. So the second question is, what have I done? My nonprofit organization, the Avenue Proactive Resource Center, and Lankford Avenue, we work diligently with people in the community, and as I was stating a minute ago, when you have high morals, the state law will not bother you because you're not going to do anything to get in trouble. That's what I teach my clients. And so for me, coming back home, it's always about going back home. And so I've always come back home to help. I grew up in Oak Cliff. I taught at my old high school, Law Magnet, for 19 years where I graduated. I taught at Mountain View. And in Mountain View, one of the young men, would you stand up, Storm? Storm is a domestic violence victim, survivor, please excuse me. His mom and sister were killed, and he was shot 4 times. He walked in my room by accident at Mountain View College. And my husband and I and our agency has been paying his tuition for school ever since then because he has There are so many others. A gentleman by the name of Kobe King graduated last year, and I received a phone call because people know that's what we do. And he had a 100% scholarship to Columbia, but he didn't have transportation to get there. And so some friends and I got together and we raised $2,000 so he and his mom could go up to Columbia and get him situated. So we do a lot of things in the community, work with Bridge, but I service a population that many people don't deal with, and that's family violence. A lot of our children are dealing with a lot of issues that we are totally unaware of. And I literally have my spokesperson, he was coming tonight, but because of the very thing that I'm working on, he can't be here. And so there are so many of us that want people to just go along, to get along, but you gotta deal with some deep-seated issues. And that's what I'm here to do, to provide as a resource. I've been doing it all my life. And so now that I've been living in Cedar Hill for 18 years, this is home. So how can I enjoy all the benefits of what you guys have given me, all the present leaders, all the present school board members, and not come and give what I've gained over the years back to you? So that's why I'm here, and that's what I do. Thank you.
The things I have done with the school district, like I said, I've served on many boards. I've done the work as a trustee, so the title doesn't mean anything to me. I actually had a situation today. Parents call me all the time, hey Shomega, we need help here, we need help there. And I've done the work. I've been the advocate for that teacher, for that principal, for that student that needed help. So I've done the work. So the title is nothing to me. You know, a lot of people think I'm already a trustee because I'm always doing the work and making the phone calls, helping our students. I love this district. If I didn't like this district, I could have sent my kids to private school. My kids, we have a charter school around the corner from my house. I love this district. I work hard daily for this district. I do a lot of things behind the scenes. I don't like to brag on things I got done, but I just have done the work. So,
okay, 1 minute rebuttal. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. Yes. Question is, being elected is more than a title. It is about a commitment to the community. What is your involvement that you've had prior to running for this office?
Okay.
And let me start the time over again.
Okay, sorry.
That's right.
As I said before in my opening statement, I have been a part of the Cedar Hill family for 19 years. During that time, I served on the Cedar Hill Education Foundation, raising money to provide grants to our teachers and to our campuses so that they could provide programs and innovative ideas to help our students. I was a part of that. I was the president, and eventually had to stop because I had a sick mother that I was taking care of. At the same time, I also was a part of the strategic plan that they were doing, their previous 5-year plan. I was a part of that, served on the retention, the recruitment and retention part of it, and making sure that the performance review part of it as well. I served on those two committees. I currently serve on the Community Development Corporation as a part of the city of Cedar Hill.
Time.
The things that I've done just recently and still actively on the focus group to help one of our high schools have conversations of how we can build even better, stronger communications with our parents, with our community, with our students. I also was a summer school teacher for Bessie Coleman, teaching 6th grade math. In doing so, because of my skill set and my professional background, I help coach and provide guidance and support for the assistant principal. I also have mentored various teachers in the Cedar Hill School District to be effective and viable teachers in the community. I also I was a door opener at the school. I served on the PTA at the school. I was there helping set up as schools have various programs. If you look to the back, I am the mother of 5, but you can tell there's a whole lot more than 5 back there, that we have girl powwows with the community, with my young girls and their friends, as we talk about how we want to be better women.
All right. Okay, and our next 3-minute question is, with all the issues in school funding being addressed at the state level, what approach will you take to ensure the education of our children doesn't suffer? If I can say it one more time. With all school funding issues that are being addressed at the state, what approach will you take to ensure the education of our children doesn't suffer?
All right, thank you. One approach I will take is, first we have to look at our budget to see where we're spending our money that we currently have that we're getting from the state. So we got to make sure that we're spending it in the right area. So one thing I would do is look at to see where, because they will be cutting some funding from the state. That's something we don't have no control of. But we can look to see if there's opportunity that we can get grants. We have to start writing more grants for different programs that would help with the kids' education. And we want to make sure that we're not cutting the kids' education. We may have to cut some salaries up top. We are kind of top heavy right now in the district. So we may need to go from 9 executives to 5 executives. So we may not be able to give that raise to our next superintendent. They may have to start at the 175, not the 229. So we have to look at all that to see if we're going to make sure we're putting that money towards our children's education, to make sure that we have that money that's coming in to get more teachers, where we won't have to send in waivers for all our elementary campuses. So we got to make sure that what we get, we got to make sure it's being allocated right, in the right direction. So we may have to, like I said, cut back on some things, but not cut back on kids' education that we've been doing. We've been lacking on that. We got to make sure that we're doing the right thing with taxpayers' money. So we got to make sure that what we get, we're directing it for children's education. Thank you.
Okay, 1 minute rebuttal. If the legislature does what it says it's going to do, we're going to see a little bit of an increase that comes from the state. A part of what they are saying is, in order for us to be able to recruit and retain good teachers, is a part of that money will go toward our teachers. It will be required that we give some of that money to our teachers. We want to make sure that any funds that we get from the state, for any funds, our taxpayer dollars, are all going to achieve educational excellence together. We want to make sure that we are spending our dollars, making sure that our children are getting the education they need, they deserve, and that when they graduate from Cedar Hill High School, they have received an excellent education.
I started with do the math, correct? So I would say the same thing. Let's do the math. One of the roles that I served in as the Director of Accountability and Compliance is to be able to survey and look at every department in the district. Look at where the money is being spent and see how we can reallocate and use the monies differently and more effectively and more wisely. So I say, let's do the math. Let's start with our instructional components to see if it is personnel, if it is a different type of curriculum. Let's look at our food program and see if we can get a different vendor. Let's look at the various resource vendors that we've been using for years and see if we can partner with other vendors to get better deals. Again, it's about doing the math, looking at the resources that we currently have and that we're using, and see if we can reallocate those, make different partnerships with other businesses that will give us cuts and discounts that use the funds differently.
Do you mind repeating the question, please?
With the issue, I'll say it loudly. With the issues of school funding, being addressed across the state, what approach will you take to ensure the education of our children does not suffer?
I would love to bring the ACT to CHISD, and that's accountability, communication with our community, and transparency. And time, because I have time to do it. I want to say that it is not, a lot of the resources we actually have within our district, but I don't think the communication is actually going back and forth in terms of the resources. There are a lot of things that people told me that they were wondering or wanting, but I talked to the board members, they said we have it. And so I'd like to build that communication so that we're building those resources for the teachers and the children. But in addition to that, I'd also like to bridge a gap of volunteer base, increase the volunteer base. And some of the things that we're paying for, we may be able to get it through grants. We may be able to get it through faith-based nonprofits. So I'd like to focus our attention on getting, as they call the gravy, from the outside resources and putting more money into the classrooms. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I'm just continuing to roll on. All right. There we go. That was it. We each one of you got you all got a 3-minute question followed by the 1-minute rebuttal, and that is our completion of our CHISD Board of Trustees. Thank you all so much.